Warriors, Warrior Man here. Good morning, good early morning. Sitting in my Warrior Barn Gym getting ready to get a workout here, a Warrior workout. As soon as I get through recording this video, the sun is just coming up over the mountain top peaks and it's coming through this window in front of me that I'm using to get the light to shoot this video, and it's sharp on the eyes. But as always, thinking positive that everything is awesome in your part of the world. And I wanted to say a few things about my weekend up in New Jersey, June 2nd and June 3rd. Oh God, I know it's been so long ago. It's incredible. I can hear you screaming at me. Yes, I know it's been over a month. I know how to read a calendar. I have seen your comments that make it clear to me that some of you are unsettled and kind of upset that I haven't said anything about that weekend yet, what went on, the filming for Warrior University and the other things I got to do, pounding your tiny fist on top of your school desk. Warrior, deliver that video. Give it to us now. Come on, man. Followed by a whole stream of exclamation marks, you holding your tiny finger. I'll show him what power is. All the way across. Oh boy, you must be new around here. Must be new. And I could do a whole video on that, responding to that kind of attitude. And I think I will. I think I'll save it. I'll put it in my notebook for when warrioruniversity.com launches, and which is going to be in a couple days. We ran into a couple glitches with the payment processing part of it. As I told you, it's going to be a subscription site. And for you to have access to what's going to go on there and the things I'm going to create and store there, you'll be asked to pay a monthly subscription fee. Of course, you're all big boys and big girls. You can decide for yourself whether you want to be a part of it, but that's the way the site is going to be from here on out as we go forward. But let me tell you some things about the New Jersey weekend, because even though it's been over a month, it doesn't change the fact that the activities I got to participate in were really incredible and awesome, and you have been demanding of me that you want to hear about them, so let me do that. The training we did on Sunday was just awesome. It was, I want to use life-changing. It was life-changing for everybody that was there, not just the 9 students who went through it. It really was. It made everybody stop and think about some things. Zach too. Zach's been around a lot of incredible athletes, champion athletes who train really hard, push themselves as far as they can, it seems. But what happened there that day was it just affirmed for me the things I've been saying about how much your body and mind can really take, if you'll just hang in there. And that's exactly what happened. I had the guys meet me at a place. I had Zach find me a location about 5 miles away from his underground strength gym there in Edison. And by the way, if you're a parent out there and you've got a teenager, a boy or a girl, and they're sort of don't have any direction about what they want to do or don't have any activities they regularly involve them in, positive activities, get over there and see Zach. He'll get them into working out and exercising, and they'll thrive off of that, and they'll become goal-oriented in other ways, and things will just start happening in their life. It starts, when you want to change your life, you start with your body. You get to your mind through your body and your attitude. You change your attitude through your body. It all starts there, and he's got some good stuff going on. So he gave me a location at a hotel, and I told the guys to meet me there at 4:30 in the morning, and that's what we did. That was the first time they met me as a group, and that's the way I wanted it to be. And the idea was I wanted the film crew to follow them on this walk, jog, run over to Zach's place, which would take about an hour, hour and a half, follow them, and my instructions to the guy were to talk about themselves. What they believed about themselves, what they believed about the life they were living right now, what they believed about the careers they were stuck in, what they believed about being a provider, a protector for their families, those who were fathers and husbands, what they believed about the career pursuits they had, otherwise, what they expected once they got to the end of this walk, jog, run, what was going to happen over there. And about an hour and a half later, they come. I left, and that's when Craig, my friend Craig, really stepped up. He was in a kind of shape where he ran with them, walked, he pushed them, and he encouraged them to talk. He held a camera himself. It was really cool. And about an hour and a half later, they come around the corner, and we just got right into it. Zach's place is, like I say, it's a small place. You roll up the garage door, man, but it is jacked up. Talk about being jacked up. His place is jacked up and ready to go. And the reason why I wanted to use Zach's place is because it parallels so much what I did every night in my wrestling career, that kind of training. The demands I put on my body, which are even much more extreme than what he puts his athletes through. I mean, they do it on a routine. They don't do it every day, the same thing every day. They mix it up to give relief to certain body parts and areas of their body that they worked the day before, and they figured all that in. My thing was the running to the ring, the explosiveness, the adrenaline flowing through all the time, the pushing and the pulling, the squatting, and the way the body was used in all kinds of different odd positions, different ways of leveraging itself, your arms and your legs. And I mean, there's no odder object to lift than a live human body over your head, especially sometimes when that body doesn't want to go up and you got to get it up, and the building is full of fans who want to see it happen. Everything about my wrestling was a workout on a higher scale than even the training that Zach does with his athletes. And that was my job. I was doing it. This type of training that Zach does and other guys have started to open gyms about has come along just in the last 10, 15, 20 years, where they concentrate only on that kind of training. But when I think back to my wrestling career, that's what I was doing every freaking night, was that kind of training. And on top of that, I was going to the gym. I was going into a gym 6 days a week, at least 7 if I could, and doing a full-blown bodybuilding routine to build out my physique, to continue to sculpt it and refine it, to become more successful as the Ultimate Warrior character. So that's what I wanted to tell the guys when they got there, is that the experience they were going to have was similar to what I experienced every night when I went to the ring and did my thing with the 200, 270, 300-pound guy in the ring, what I felt like by the end. So we started with some warm-ups, some bear crawls and some reverse bear crawls, and paired the guys up and did some wheelbarrow type stuff. And I tell you, in the first 5 or 10 minutes, there were 3 or 4 guys, if they'd been given the chance, they would have tapped out. And that's the way it happens when you face any challenge. That was a part of what I wanted to see and what I wanted to do here. The Asking Alexandria and the Warrior TV show we did, there was no preparation about the planning. The guy who owned the gym, Brandon, was a great guy. He had a great facility, does the same type of stuff as Zach does. But ultimately what happened in my filming, that is I went back and forth with a guy in California who had some ideas and saw the potential of me being involved in something, but most of the ideas he wanted me to be involved in were typical to what is on television today, and I don't have no interest in that. I wanted to do something that was inspiring, and me using my life experiences to mentor young people in some way. And instead of me hanging out with young people using my my celebrity or my former celebrity or being known out in the public, instead of bringing that back to life, where you plug me into a situation where I become friends with people half my age and hang out with them and do the things they're doing and end up looking like an idiot like so many of the other guys have, or so many of the other reality television shows have put forward. I didn't want to do that. And finally, we just came to a place where I said, I'm coming out, get your camera crew, let's do it. I met the camera crew 5 minutes before we started, and I said, turn the cameras on, we're going with it. There were no notes. There was no plan, there was no script, and I think it's unfortunate that in the final version of the pilot show that they put online, they tried to make it look like there were people directing and producing. There was none of that. I just did what I naturally do. I was just me. I just showed up and I was me. I was the real me, and that's what came off in the show. And as entertaining as it was, and as great as the editing was after we got all the film to make it look really polished and professional, I've looked at it and I thought about, man, this could really, really be something awesome if you had a whole creative team around it like television shows do, instead of just walking in and saying, hey, turn on the camera, let's just wing it. And that was really supposed to be the plan, to get that pilot, the way that it looked, to get the attention of people who make decisions about those kind of things. And I don't know, your guess is as good as mine. I have heard nothing from nobody that was supposed to do things that they didn't do. And that's one of the reasons why I decided I wanted to film at the Warrior University. And I'll tell the story in more detail later on. But to get back to what we were doing, that's just what happens in the beginning of a challenge. Resistance, Mr. Resistance, is breathing down your neck in the nastiest, foulest way, trying to convince you that what you're trying to do, what you're trying to prove to yourself isn't fucking worth it, that you're just a bag of shit. There's nothing great about you. There will never be anything great about you. You can't rise up to challenges. You're just one of the fucking puppets in the world. You need to get your gear bag and go home. Of course, they weren't given the chance to quit. They were encouraged in a, as you can imagine, intense, aggressive style to keep going on. And 2 hours and 15 minutes later, they were all of them were physically and mentally stronger in every single way. It was awesome to see. And if they were not pushing or pulling or pressing or squatting something, they were running with chains around their neck, legitimate 20-pound chains. The chains, asking Alexandria, those chains were 5 or 6 pounds apiece. I came up with the idea at the last minute, again, spontaneously, that, you know, these guys are becoming successful in the rock and roll band. They're out there and they're indulging in certain things that are going to have a negative effect on them eventually, even though while they're high, they think it's all positive. And that really what they were doing is they, instead of empowering themselves, they're chaining themselves down. But the chains the guys wore at Warrior University were legitimate 20 pounds apiece. They were flipping 450, 600-pound tires. Kettlebells, I don't think that Zach has a kettlebell less than 80 pounds. And if you, you know, you can sit there, you go to the gym, you work out, you grab the 80-pound dumbbells and you think this and this and this, you can get a few reps with them or whatever you can do, whatever you're capable of. You pick up them kettlebells, man, there's something more solid, there's more solid, more hefty about those freaking things. You know, they got the law of gravity seems to work more powerfully with the kettlebells. And the pushing and the pulling of the prowler and the sleds, I mean, and the Asking Alexandria. And look, the Asking Alexandria kids, they were great. In fact, based on going out there and doing those 2 filming sessions and the pilot and the enthusiasm about what I envisioned happening in the long run and how people reacted to just what we did in a real simple way, I like those kids. I really did. I think about them all the time. I know they're getting bigger in their rock and roll careers and their music careers, and I think about them all the time, spending time with them that day. And the other guys, the IC Star kids, they were just little babies. When my wife saw the 2-minute piece video on them, there hasn't been a full pilot put out by them. The footage is still alive. It still exists. She said, they're just babies. She got mad at me, upset at me for talking to them, treating them the way that I did. But it was a great experience, and I think about that, so I don't want anybody to take it the wrong way, that I'm making any kind of comparison here. I'm not, because that's not the goal. That's not the purpose behind the whole damn show, and I think that came across in the pilot that came out. And it's what happened, or what the 9 guys who showed up for the first class of Warrior University, what they got to experience too. It's not about, when I'm pounding my chest and I'm intense, it's not me trying to prove anything about myself or what I've done in my life. It's me trying to get them to believe things about themselves that I already believe about them and every other human being, that they have the potential inside of them to do great things. And that comes through in that pilot that was put together. And so that was what I wanted to achieve here too, but in a different way. The training was much more extensive. It wasn't just the pushing of the prowler for a little while and the chains around the neck. I mean, they did everything. Squatting, pushing, sandbag stuff, running with sandbags, stopping and pressing it a number of times, running again, carrying it, 75 to 100-pound sandbags, and constantly on the move for the whole 2 hours and 15 minutes. And they broke through something mentally. And I know exactly what it is. I don't know that I can express it in words, but any athlete who's pushed themselves that hard, or anybody who's faced a physical and mental challenge in that way, understands exactly what I mean when they just will not quit. The inner voices just fucking disappear. They go away altogether. They're not there anymore. Mr. Resistance runs and hides. He can't take it anymore. He can't take the battle that you're putting up to continue to go on. And that's exactly what happened. And as I told the guys after we got done, they became one with their heartbeat. And I remember, I remember so many times doing that in my wrestling career, with the way that we traveled, the pace at which we traveled, the average 3 hours sleep a night, the way that I pushed myself and rose up to this physical and mental challenge that was put before me to succeed, and being of an age to really just stand up, rise up to it. I remember getting to that place sometimes where like, how the fuck am I even going to get to the ring tonight, man? I am just absolutely. I remember running to the ring sometimes and it was like I wasn't even hitting the ground. It was like I was just floating on air, not because I was running so fast. I remember a couple times like that too at WrestleMania when I ran in and saved Hulk from Sid Vicious, whatever WrestleMania that was. Man, that pop was so fucking loud. It just carried me right above the carpet. I mean, I don't even know that I touched. It's like being on air. But I'm talking about being so fatigued, so exhausted, pushed yourself to your absolute limits. And the only way to get through it was to go to that place where you can't hear anything anymore except the beat of your heart, the thumping of your heart. It's a cool thing, and that's what the guys did. They rose up in that way. They brought back to life their warrior spirits, and they proved something to themselves. And as each one of them has said to me since that day in their own words, the experienced warrior will forever change my life. Testimonials don't get more powerful than that. They just don't. And it opened my eyes to a lot of things, a few things. Really, it just affirmed for me that all this nonsense that's out there about how much we can take as human beings, it's just a bunch of bullshit. We can do harder things than we are. We can handle more uncomfortableness, more hurt, more pain than we ever have if we just won't quit. I've said that for years. People don't fail, they fucking quit. So they all have inside of them a desire to do something different than they are. Some of them have really good jobs, are making a great way for their family and their loved ones, but they have a voice inside of themselves, like I've talked about before, where they want to follow something that they're passionate about. So the best way to get to that place where you can believe that you have everything it takes to make that happen is through your body, and they did that. Now it's up to them. I mean, a lot of people write me and they want to try to give me credit for how they've made changes in their life. When I went to the signings over the last 3 months, every fifth or sixth person in line took the time to tell me, many of them with tears in their eyes, what kind of effect the videos I've been doing over the last year and 3 months since I launched One Warrior Nation, what kind of effect they've had on them to make serious, dramatic changes in their life they've never been able to make before. But I can't take credit for the work that each person has to do. Self-motivation depends on that at some point in time the self fucking gets involved and takes over. I can inspire and I can influence. I can change your mood, your mindset, put you in a place mentally where you can push yourself in ways to make things happen. But it's like good music that you listen to. While you're listening to it, you're some type of other being. You become so charged. But when it's gone, it's same thing with other self-help materials, the typical self-help materials that are out there, the pansy-ass stuff, the soothing, soft stuff. When you're around it and everybody's happy and joyful and excited and wearing a smile and being loving and caring and stuff, it all feels good. But as soon as they get on a plane, they head home, the air goes out. It's not there anymore. And I believe that the way that you need to do it instead of trying to find peace, you got to go to war. You got to go to war. And those guys found out about going to war, man. It was really cool to watch. What's going to happen from here, I don't know. It was a small investment of time and even money to film what took place, to do it in the right way that we did it, to have the training more laid out, to go longer, not just to make it a brief thing. Do an application process to get some thoughts from them about what they believed about their lives and where they were at, what they wanted to do in their lives, how well they were making their lives work. So we'll see. Get the footage together. Got some video clips. I've seen a video clip 2 or 3 minutes long. Maybe get that up. Get some other stuff. Going to get it over to Steve. He can start cutting it up in big chunks. The last thing I need to do is start looking at it underneath the microscope. I never wanted to be an editor or a guy in the cutting room chopping it up, piecing it together. I can look at things standing back as an idea guy, but I'm not interested in doing that kind of stuff. The bottom line on Warrior University is this: there are more than 9 people in the world who want to have a life-changing experience in a way that only I can deliver. So there's incredible opportunity there to turn this into something that could just be huge. And that was another reason why I wanted to do it, and it's another thing that I came to realize when I saw what was going on. I need to step up myself and become a more active leader and seeing what kind of potential lies in One Warrior Nation and Warrior University. And this subscription side is going to help me do that. It's going to help me separate the doers from the dreamers. It's going to help me separate those who are just hanging out, taking up air and space and time, from those who are really interested in intense, hardcore inspiration and motivation like only I can deliver, and really want to go about doing the things to own their life in all ways, body, mind, and soul. So that's what happened in New Jersey. See, I told you it was worth the wait. I'm going to get on with my day. Warrior man here. Always believe.